Hey, all you cool coyotes and roadrunners. Welcome to another episode of Tucson Talks. I am Jax Moyer, joined by my co-host and partner in life, Will Moyer. Hey, Will.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good. Hot, as usual.
That was your response last time, too. I think you need to figure that out.
Yeah. It's a warm May.
It's toasting up already, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, for those that might be tuning in for the first time, Tucson Talks is a web series that is dedicated to guest stars who have a Tucson presence through being a community connector, entrepreneur, pioneer, staple, or just someone that's super cool and that we want to highlight their experiences and their voice as being part of our community. This is a segment that's presented by Jaxon Life Design, which is an agency focused on consulting services with soul, focusing on personal professional development, interior design, and home organization. For more information, visit jaxonlifedesign.com or visit any of our social channels, which that information is in the description of the video. And our guest today is Vanessa Baird. She is owner of Hand and Heritage Salon, an independent hair stylist community designed to support and celebrate every unique stylist through a kind and conscious business model. Vanessa is also co-owner of Bon Beaute with Caitlyn Colussy, a unique beauty boutique that offers beauty empowering services like microblading, advocates for non-toxic beauty and sustainable fashion, and promotes continuous self-love and gentle narratives to self. I'll be including the website as well as social information for both Hand and Heritage Salon as well as Bon Beaute in the description of the video. With that, welcome Vanessa. How are you?
I'm good. Also hot, but I love the heat, so I'm happy.
Yes, indeed.
I feel like we had a really light spring and now it's finally heating up. I feel like it's normally warmer this part of the year. Or am I confused?
I think you're confused.
I thought we had like a mild spring. I don't know.
I feel like it gets warmer in Tucson, like mid-May, like maybe knocking on Memorial Day weekend. Like that's when we start getting into the triple digits. I feel like we hang in like high 80s and 90s for a few weeks before we hit the triple digits. But
well, let's hope this heat knocks out this Corona business.
Yeah, truly.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How are you?
Oh, go ahead, Jax.
We both want to know how you're coping with our current environment as it relates to the pandemic, and you know, whatever you feel like sharing either personally or professionally about the impact on you.
Yeah, in fact, I actually had a similar interview with my brother who does a YouTube channel, and I really appreciate the opportunity because, you know, I've had conversations where it's like, how are you? And I think I said, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. You know, how many times have I said I'm fine? I, like anybody else, go through waves, although I will say, I think I'm a natural optimist because I've been able to wrangle my emotions a little bit better as I age, and just hopeful that, you know, it's gonna be okay.
Right. Yeah.
I've been talking with some of my colleagues and my partner. You know, I've had strange obstacles at a very early time in my life, and it could be a coping skill. And I used to say, if I'm not laughing, I'm dying. And there's a little bit of truth to that for me. Like, all I have is hope sometimes. And so I'm going to lean into that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's an awesome perspective.
Definitely. I think it's hard to get lost, or it's easy, I should say, to get lost in the darkness and all the information and messaging out there. And I think that my biggest thing to people that I've interacted with is like to hopefully shine some hope and say, you know, just think that this is a day-by-day thing for now. It's temporary. This too shall pass. You know, just focus on the things that you can control within your immediate surroundings currently, and you know, do things and practices where you can like limit the messaging you're receiving or the voices that are around you, because I think it's easy with social media and the news and just people in general chit-chatting about it. And I think that's very good and very awesome that you are one of those shining the light and trying to get people to stay optimistic.
Yeah. And with that said, I have for sure had my own meltdowns as well.
For sure. Yeah. I get it.
So I own my own humanity right now.
Yeah. We're all humans, that's for sure. But as long as you don't get stuck in it.
Vanessa, are you a Tucson native, or where are you from? What's your backstory?
Well, I feel like a native. I love Tucson very, very much. I moved here. Wow, it's almost going to be 20 years. My mom transferred here looking just for a new lifestyle away from the hustle and bustle of California. And she moved me here right before I started high school. And, you know, I came kicking and screaming, but it didn't take long at all for me to really fall in love with Tucson. My mom has since passed away, and I always imagined that my love of Tucson might have disappeared when she left this earth, but it has not. So it's really solidified it for me that that I've already found my home.
That's awesome. What high school did you go to?
I went to Catalina Foothills for most of high school. I actually dropped out my junior year because my dad passed away very suddenly, and I finished up my my credits at Pima.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
What is your favorite thing about Tucson?
The heat.
As I was complaining.
I know it's not a popular thing, and I can feel very sluggish, but it's really interesting. The last 5 years of my life, as I journeyed through my entrepreneurship and journey to self, so to speak, I've kind of realized that the heat has really a lot of healing factors for me. The desert is pretty magical, and I think it's because of that relationship. I don't totally hate it, you know, that aspect of Tucson. So that, and I was actually just thinking about this the other day because I've been on the phone for weeks with various people in businesses, and I love the fact that 9 out of 10 times people can't pronounce Tucson.
That's true.
Even
Texan.
like people in the airport. Like,
yeah.
Kind of like crazy to me. I mean, like, we're bigger than a lot of cities. We are referenced in a lot of movies, and it's like, how do you not know who we are?
Right.
And Hyundai has like a Tucson model car.
That's right. That's funny. Yeah.
What do you think Tucson's going to look like in the next 10 years? Like growth-wise, or like, how do you see us developing? And specific to your industry, or like just
lifestyle, family.
I mean, honestly, and I felt this way for a long time. With our current events, my intuition is actually going to tell me that we're going to grow pretty aggressively, actually. And I've always felt that way. And a lot of that comes from the fact of, I know Tucson's value. So I know its value. A whole lot of other people are going to know its value. And I just think with COVID-19, based on that direction, I think people are going to be searching for space, and even a more relaxing lifestyle. I've always been attracted to that, but I think this COVID-19 is going to have a lot of aha moments for people of how they want to reset how they've been doing life. And I think Tucson, in my personal experience, ticks a lot of those boxes for me, right? You know, that easy lifestyle, that casual, that friendliness, that community. It's a great place for small businesses in comparison to major cities. So there's extreme opportunity here. Not to mention the price of living is, compared to some, it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I also have that selfishness in me where I'm like, no, come over here. Keep it small. But yeah, I do think it will grow, and I think it will grow quickly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it just needs to be a balance. Because I mean, even like I'm a native and seeing the growth that we have experienced, I feel like it's been reasonable and it's progress to where it's not like one big shock of everything happening. And I hope we continue to go on that route, because I think that allows people to kind of start blending with the normalcy of having more things around. And I think we'll always, of course, have the individuals who don't want Tucson to grow. But I think, like you said, knowing the value of it and being able to share that and express that, I think is really important to put out there. Because I mean, we can be put on a bunch of lists for best places to live or to visit and this and the other, but hearing it from people that actually live here and have lived here for several years and have experienced it and haven't chosen to leave, I think it's always important to put out.
Any favorite restaurants you like to visit?
Yes. Favorite restaurant.
What's your hit list right now, or was before COVID?
So I'm not totally proud of this, but me and my family would have pho at least once a week at a local restaurant. We have really come to love two local restaurants, actually. One's Halong Bay, which is on the east side. They're family owned, and the family is the sweet. We go there so much. They know our kids, and we'll just grab our kids, like show them around the place. Great food, great environment. And then the other one is La Placita Cafe, which is located in the Palomino Plaza. Great Mexican food. I'm also Spanish, where my nana used to make homemade tortillas. I'm a hard judge when it comes to authentic Mexican food, and they're pretty good.
Where's the best tortilla in town?
You know what? First of all, no one beats my nana's. Let's just make it clear.
Yeah.
And I actually don't think I've ever had a homemade tortilla in Tucson. I mean, that can't be true. I just can't think about where I might have had one in the most recent years.
Well, if you haven't been to St. Mary's Mexican food, their tacos are or their tortillas are amazing. And you can pick them up to go. They're on St. Mary's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's my personal thing.
I will do that. Okay, very cool.
Yeah, St. Mary's, it's just west of the freeway from downtown. And they're amazing. They're always packed too. Like, you call in an order to pick it up, and when you get there, they're still like slammed and making your food. So it's pretty awesome for them, that's for sure. Let's get a little bit more insight about your businesses. So Hand and Heritage Salon, which was previously Studio 110. How long have you had that salon?
So we've had that 5.5 years in November here. It's been a great journey. It's the first business, a lot of learning curves, a lot of challenges, a lot of growth edges. I
think we're kind of losing our connection with you, Vanessa.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're kind of going in and out, and then you're frozen on the screen.
Oh. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay. Where did you last hear me? So I don't repeat myself.
I think we got 5.5 years. 6 years in November. Yeah.
Yes, 6 years in November, and it's been an interesting journey. A lot of challenges and a lot of growth edges that I had to overcome. But it's been a wonderful experience, and it's taught me a lot about myself.
What do you think the biggest learning lesson has been so far?
It's hard to narrow down to one specific. I think there's two that come up for me. It's really shown me that failure is actually part of the process. And it's a tool, right? And by learning and accepting that, it's changed how I play the game, right? Failure is evidence that you're trying something, right? And that's a big win. That's a big win in anybody's life. The other obstacle I think that I've faced is self-love, because business ownership is not for the faint of heart. It can get ugly often. 12 o'clock at night in your bathroom, right? And it's really allowed me to with myself and celebrate myself, honestly.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So previously to opening the salon, you have been a hairstylist for a number of years, is that correct?
Yeah, I started my career at 18 as a makeup artist, and I shifted to hair. I did that for about a decade, and now I have found a new love of microblading. But I don't think it was there. Honestly, I'm noticing a pattern in my life, and that I am super multi-passionate, and I want to do a lot of things. And entrepreneurship is what allows me to do that, to really be as creative and versatile as I want to be.
Right. Yeah, we were just talking with a guest on our last episode about, how for the longest time, a lot of people, and even still some people to this day, have always been taught either by family or by society that, you find this one route in your life, like career-wise, and that's what you stick to, and you fit this mold, and you hit the milestones and you retire on. And it seems like more and more people nowadays are, having that entrepreneurial mindset to where it's like, they have a passion for something, they put a lot of their energy into it, and they build it up to whatever level they find to be determined as successful or they're happy with. But then freeing their minds to still be able to do other things, I think has become more of a trend, and I'm glad to hear that that's where your mindset is too. Don't mind the dogs.
No worries. Yeah, I appreciate that is getting more respect, because it's validating. I've been like this my whole life, and up until recently, I thought something was wrong with me. The term "you can't focus," lack of follow through, right? These are terms that a lot of us know, and the guilt and shame that comes with not following through with something you paid X amount of dollars to learn how to do, right? But I think there's something there with, if you are drawn in different directions, leaning into all of them to find yourself. I think you'll get there a lot quicker owning it about yourself.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I think too, at one point, you might tend to find that even though your interests might be in different like industries or different functions of society, you find some kind of connection between all of them. That's really kind of the big payoff. And I think that's all probably seasonal too, depending on where we're at in life. So you mentioned microblading. So Bon Beaute, you opened that a couple years ago.
Well, it's been an idea.
Tell us the history.
Oh gosh, my life is so crazy. So I learned to microblade almost 2 years ago, and I had no idea where it was going, only that I wanted to know how to do it. And then I loved it. And I haven't had that spark in 10 years. So that was really exciting to me. So it kind of was just something I did, but I'm a brand creator. I like brands. So it was originally Bon Brows, but then I wanted more, because I'm more than just brows. right? And I'm getting really good to understand, like, I don't put myself in a box.
Yeah.
So
that was so smart.
I'm learning, like, I have gotten that from the 5 years of experience, right? Studio 110, Hand and Heritage, like it's the learning curve of business ownership. And what I love, since we shifted the name to Bon Beaute, which was essentially about maybe 8 or 9 months ago, just complete ideas and magic have flooded our hearts and ideas. And we grabbed the ones we loved, we threw out the ones we didn't, right? Some stuck, some didn't. And like, it's creating its own identity, right? I almost like don't even have control over it. It's just like out there in the world, and it's awesome to see it. And my heart is so connected to it that it just feels right to me.
Yeah.
And it gives back, right? More than just microblading. You and I have talked about this, right? I love the people. I love that time to connect in that intimate space, right? I've always felt that way about hair. It's not just the service. There's so much more depth that wants to be unlocked. We just need to create that safe space to unlock it.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I think that's like the biggest thing is like a lot of people say your hairstylist is like your therapist basically. And so you get all the dirt and deets, and I definitely have love for my hair girl at Hand and Heritage. But I that's the thing that I really enjoyed about you and coming to Bon Beaute, my first time getting microbladed, and just the comfort that was already there by your presence. And kudos to you that that's how your character is. So it's very comforting. But then to just not like be laying there and having the service being done, like I honestly, maybe I have a pain tolerance, maybe it's the numbing creams, but the time goes by so fast. And the first time I started, you started on my eyebrows, I had no idea you had even started. And again, maybe it was the numbing cream, but I think it was just because there was a connection there that was so like authentic. And obviously, my mind was focused elsewhere. That, I mean, for people that are like hesitant about microblading, I think that it's totally like misconception probably. Fear of tattoos.
Real fast for the people watching, where is Hand and Heritage located?
Hand and Heritage is Midtown, so it's right off of Tucson Boulevard on Lee Street. It's a big yellow building. It's a suite inside. It's centrally located, very easy to get to.
And Bon Beaute is nearby too, or is that a separate salon area?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. Kind of nervous because I have been working towards some things. We were operating out of Beauty Republic, which is a friend of mine, similar to Hand and Heritage, independent stylist, but it's skincare specific and lash extensions. Beautiful, beautiful community. But it looks like I might be expanding Hand and Heritage Salon and moving my brow business there temporarily until I can have a individual storefront for Bon Beaute in the next year or two.
Nice.
Oh,
that's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Positive vibes.
I'm being really brave right now.
That's so cool. Lots of progress. What are your thoughts on, you mentioned eyelash extensions. What are your thoughts on that? Do you
see any major shifts in that industry? Like, I got my first set like a couple months ago. They're no longer attached. I didn't get them filled.
So I've had one experience as well.
Okay.
I love the idea. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. I hated them. I am not the right customer, but first of all, I cry all the time. So I'm constantly rubbing my eyes. I have severe allergies, contacts. It actually felt like more work to me. I'm all about simplifying my time. So I've actually shifted from lash extensions to the lash lift, which is essentially a perm. So I'm getting that lift, but it lasts me up to 8 weeks. So I'm not having to go in somewhere every 2 weeks for an hour and 20 minutes, because I just have no time for that. But with that said, I know it has value to others. So I think it's more about weighing where's the value for you, and are you going to get it?
My lash girl took 3.5, almost 4 hours for my first set. And I was like, I'm not doing this again.
That's a long time. That's a long time. Yeah,
she's just like, you have so many natural lashes. I was like, I guess heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Sad for you and your fabulous eyelashes and beautiful natural brows.
Do you have any favorite podcasts or TV shows you're watching right now?
Actually, I don't watch a lot of TV. That has been a tactic I've adopted for a long, long time, because a lot of my escapism happened before Instagram by watching and submerging myself in television. It's actually a joke. I know if my siblings saw this, they know exactly what I'm talking about. So I limit myself, and I've had this really weird loophole where I just watch retired shows over and over and over again. So I like Frasier and Futurama, and I just put that in the background. So I feel like someone's in the room, but I'm not sucked into a storyline, because I'm a sucker for a good plot, and I won't get anything done with TV.
No guilty pleasures to admit to?
Well, sure. Guilty pleasures. I mean, if anything, it's probably chocolate. I'm a chocolate fiend. I'm incredibly addicted to sugar. I think that's about it. I'm pretty good nice. Balanced in that department.
Yeah. What makes you feel inspired or like you're at your best self?
That's a great question, because I feel like I might have been blessed with that insight during this time. I actually think a lot of people might be coming to their own insights during this time. I mean, some ugly has come up for me too. And in fact, my inspiration and my ugly kind of come together in this one topic. And it's something that has followed me my whole life and my whole career. And during this time of being at home, and it's allowed me to observe myself, it's allowed me to observe others, right? And I will say it's been enjoyable to see how other business owners or moms or individuals are becoming very creative with adapting, right? To talking about their businesses, to still being relevant, to getting through it, to connect. I love that. And through this creativity, what I have observed from a couple entrepreneurs, maybe microblade artists, is they've been showing creative effort and work to highlight their own businesses and skill sets. And what gift that's given me is it's actually allowed me to see some people's creative process. And where that has helped me is it's been a reminder that some people do things untraditionally. And I don't do anything traditionally. And if anything, the rebel in me wants to always go rogue against traditional. And I felt bad about that my whole life. Like something was wrong with me because I don't do things the normal way. And I have seen that there are a lot of creative, inventive, abstract human beings that are just killing it. And I think they're killing it because they are leaning so wholeheartedly into who they are. And I am so ready to 100% do that for myself, and not try and tote this line that I think I'm supposed to be on.
Yeah, comparison, and like I was saying earlier, to where like, we feel like we have to hit the certain milestones or make decisions in a certain way. Yeah, I think going against the grain and deciding what really feels authentic to you and going with it regardless of what people may say about it does prove to be successful. And I think it's like, you have to, with change or anything like that, it's like you have to go through the ick to get to the good. And I think that as long as people are willing and open to accept that that's not going to be the most comfortable ride, but will eventually pay off with dedication and, focus on it, I think that, I think once more people talk about that and talk about having failures and what they've experienced and how they were able to grow from that, because we're human beings and we make decisions and sometimes they don't work out. And most of the time when we plan things, they don't happen the way that we plan them, but they work in the way that they need to work for us. And I think that's huge. Have you ever, so I know we talked about like, not necessarily staying in one lane career wise, but if you had a choice to have another profession, what profession would you attempt in a current space right now?
Honestly, there's only one other job that interests me, and I would it's been a childhood dream to actually be a creative director for music videos. That's what I would want to do. I used to, when I was, how old was I? 13, 14, me and a friend would get this big old, camera, like you put it on your shoulder, it's so heavy. And we would create these music videos. And I love the artistry of telling a story, in small frames, right? And utilizing music and effects and fashion to tell that story, and very little, like speaking. And I would love to do that. And actually being an entrepreneur, I get to dabble because Instagram kind of goes that way a little bit. So I get to kind of itch that scratch a little bit these days.
That's awesome.
Do you have like an all-time favorite music video based on how it was like creatively put together? November Rain by Guns N' Roses.
You know what, actually, I have to be really honest. Some of my favorite music videos are Michael Jackson videos. He was very clever at being non-traditional back in the day and telling short stories, and the dancing, anything beautifully choreographed, just, gets me to the core. I appreciate that kind of translation, that different type of translation of story.
Yeah. That's
you
cool.
have some really beautiful tattoos. Can you pan to those?
Oh, yes.
Are those all locally done?
Yes. I've only been tattooed by 2 people.
Okay.
Guy's in Portland because I visit my sister, and all the majority of the work is done by Kenzo, who operates out of the Block, which is a skate shop. He's, I think, a one-man studio. I've known him since I was 18, and his work is phenomenal.
How old was he back then?
He's not that much older than me.
That's so cool. So he's just been doing it that's awesome.
Yeah, really, really skilled, really gentle, great line, steady hand. It took him about 6 years to start talking to me because he's very quiet. But we're on to full sentences now.
Kenzo, I like that name.
Yeah.
It's Saturday night in Tucson. Where are you? What are you up to?
I am in bed with my makeup off.
Ooh, nice. Tell me something that's true that almost nobody agrees with you on.
Intuitive art can have technical results. Or intuitive approach, I could say too.
What's your favorite Tucson look?
Linen and Birkenstocks.
You're not the first person to say linen.
Yeah. Yeah. one of our first guests, Ryan, she owns Luca Ryan, which does vintage. And I know that you're big into vintage pieces, and she used to have a shop at MSA Annex, but now she's simply all online. But she was saying that her like uniform staple is like linen pants with like a brown belt or something like that. And then she gets to the point where she's like, why do I keep wearing this outfit?
Linen is not just incredible in our heat, but linen is actually one of the most sustainably made fabrics out there, which I actually read an article about. So now I'm all linen. And I will tell you this, you can find a ton of linen at secondhand stores. Quality pieces.
Yeah.
Did you see the new fur-lined Birkenstocks?
No.
Yeah, they're really cute, actually.
Fur-lined Birkenstocks.
Yeah, they're like fur-lined Birks. I saw them in California. Some girls were rocking them. I was like, those are really cute.
Interesting. Do you have any favorite with vintage and secondhand? Do you have any favorite shops that you want to shout out?
Oh, I don't, to be honest with you, I don't actually think I'm very familiar with a lot of local ones. At least a lot of the local ones I used to shop at have closed in the last couple years. It's hard, especially if they're nonprofit, and a lot of them are. It's really hard to, stay afloat. I do love Buffalo. Everybody knows Buffalo, though. And they are technically local, but actually, if you are searching and you're looking to support smaller businesses, you could technically drive about a mile down Speedway and hit every single one of those small shops.
That's true.
By, and there's something in there that is worth taking home for sure.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Take the time. You find some good gems in those places. That's for sure.
Yes. Absolutely.
Trudged through a Speedway outlet before.
Me too.
Master classes have become like all the rage online. Like everybody's hosting a master class these days.
Yes.
If you had to host a master class, what would be your topic or your core message to the audience?
First of all, I think the masterclass series is brilliant. I think it speaks to those multi-passionate people. One of the terms I thought of myself as when I thought of multi-passionate, it was a little bit more cruel, but it was more of like jack of all trades, master of none, right? And I love the idea of masterclass because sometimes I just want bite-sized information, key facts to take home and utilize, right?
Right.
I dream about doing a masterclass, and I have a couple ideas of what I would talk about. Right now, as far as the art that speaks to me, I would really be brave and do a microblading course that is very counterintuitive to how we're trained, which is also, to be honest, why I'm a little afraid to do that, right? Because of my rumbles. But I feel there's something there for more of those creative, abstract designers about kind of going outside the lines and the rules a little bit. And then anything that I would ever speak to's core message is really to get to the heart of yourself, because you are the best guide you're ever going to have. You know yourself inside and out, what you're capable of. It's all about knowing how to be gentle with that narrative and leaning in to trusting your own ability.
Is there a celebrity who has the most iconic eyebrows?
Oh, that's a great question.
Dan Levy?
No, ew, David.
Eugene Levy? The Levy family?
You ain't wrong. You are not wrong. There's a lot of great brows. I actually think I see a lot of great iconic brows on the runway. But that's, of course, they're doing a lot of their tricks and additions to that. But yeah, I mean, Brooke Shields, I would say, is the original brow babe for sure.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of immediately.
Good old Brooke. Jordache jeans. So we're coming up on our time. So to round out the episode, we do a couple of moments. The first one being what I call a soulful plug, which is basically my version of a shameless plug, but I don't think there should be a shame in it. So is there anything business related or event wise that you would like to plug?
You know, honestly, I think I'd like to utilize this time to actually highlight the independent stylists at Hand and Heritage. This COVID-19 has really affected them deeply. It's affected their ability to express themselves through art, and even more so, it's affected their family and finances. So I'd like to give a huge shout out and attention to them and any really local business owner, any way that the community can support us through any means, a purchase, a pre-booked appointment, a review, a like on a post, anything really helps. It's, you know, we survive, local businesses survive by small acts from our community, starting with everybody. So that's what I'd like to utilize this time to highlight.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. I think it's great too, because Tucson tends to be a very local centric consumer base. And so I'm hoping that the health of everybody, consumer wise or business owners or whoever, come through okay. But then also, like, I'm sure a lot of them are raring to go back to, you know, the hair salon and talking with their favorite stylist and making those connections again. So yeah, kudos to all of them out there, 100%.
Absolutely.
Are there any local nonprofit or social services that you like to support, or your business likes to support?
Yes, absolutely. I was very blessed with the opportunity to meet a husband and wife very early on in my entrepreneurship, Mark Pirtle and Linda Skinner-Pirtle, who own Skillfully Aware. It's a program that's offered in a lot of different ways, online, in groups, or one-on-one. They personally have helped me develop my business into that kind and conscious business model. Linda Skinner-Pirtle, who I've worked directly with then and still, has helped empower me as a parent, as a woman, as a human being. So their gifts to this community, to me, has been incredible, and they're doing an amazing job, and they're there to help anybody who asks for it.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, we'll definitely highlight them too in the episode details. Show them some love. If we were to play a little game of Tucson Tag, who would you tag to be a future guest on Tucson Talks?
That is so hard, because I have many lovelies, many lovelies who I equally support across the board. But I would say the first person that comes to mind is actually a kindred spirit. She's goofy as hell, and we laugh all the time. And that would be Chanel Tanaka, who owns Good Eye Living. It's a secondhand furniture, but it's so much more than that. She really finds beautiful vintage pieces that are very modern. Her store is very well thought. She has interior experience, and she's just a hoot to interact with. She's very fun and very kind.
Nice. Cool. Well, we'll reach out and see what happens. We'll name drop if that's okay. Well, thank you so much, Vanessa, for joining us and being a guest on Tucson Talks. As always, it's very exciting to talk and get your perspective and having authentic chit chat. Thanks for all that you're doing with the community and for the people that look to you for support. We'll make sure to include the website addresses as well as the socials for both Hand and Heritage Salon and Bon Beaute in the description of the video. If you want more information about this program as well as other services by Jaxon Life Design, visit jaxonlifedesign.com, or again, we'll put socials in the description of the video. So until next time, stay well, stay focused, and stay connected. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
good one.
Thank you.
Bye.